Weird when we start.
All
How's it
right.
going? Everyone, welcome to another Typology interview. We're just talking about Asees's clean new shave. Isn't he looking suave for the ladies?
Yes. You hook me up? No,
Yeah,
just
it
kidding.
looks like you lost a lot of weight too, man. You're
Yes,
doing
I
well.
did. Over like it's close to 90 pounds, I think, or close to 80 pounds weight. Yeah, over 80 pounds now in a year and a half.
You know what's really weird? I've noticed that feminine sensory, it doesn't even need to be high in the stack, is into the losing weight. Like they've got the weight problems where they're losing the weight though.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
Yeah, I mean there are some like
in the men at least. I don't know about the women.
Yeah, I don't think I've met any women like that are not an ENFP with feminine sensory, or at least feminine SI. But like with masculine SE, like the masculine SE seems to just be more into like the body positivity type of stuff. So for them, it's just like the whole thing is okay. Whereas for us, and then it's also like the narrowing down aspect. Like for us, it's like being like too, like there is such a thing as being too big. Whereas with like the SEs, it seems like they're just like there's more acceptance of that variance.
Even feminine SE. I've seen feminine SE do a lot of dieting and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that you have a lot more experience with that than me.
Right. I'm just wondering if there's something about feminine sensory we can start there. So just a little context for everybody. Asees has been on the NiNe show for a while, and he first made his debut on an interview on my channel.
Yes.
And it was so amazing that I just wanted to protect his image, so I left it unlisted. But anyone who wants to go check it out, there's a link in the description.
Yeah.
Do you have a cringe warning or something?
Yeah, cringe warning. That was when was that? That was like at least
you were 17.
Yeah. Oh wow. So almost 2 years ago then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first thing I did. I had a phone call with Dave. I didn't understand like half the stuff. I just accidentally got pretty close to my type. He gave me some pointers. I didn't know. I don't know. Did I know if I was feminine sensory or not at that time? I couldn't tell for the longest time.
You didn't know. Yeah. I had an XF there for you.
Okay.
It's still listed on that video.
Yeah. So that was the first thing I did with anything. I think did I do that before I joined the group, or is that how I did all of this, like all of like the social stuff with OP at the same time. So that was my first thing. I didn't have.
We're asking a feminine sensory here to give us the timeline. So
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first thing. So fair cringe warning. I was, however incoherent my blast is now, it was non-existent back then. So
yeah. Yeah. So you did talk a lot, but you just sort of rambled on in something that wasn't related, and I just sort of let you go. I was like,
yeah,
okay, right.
Yeah, I had a tendency to do that. It took a long ass time, and that's one of the reasons why I did the NiNe show. I just needed more practice, and I didn't give myself the opportunity my whole life. And then now, with the OP stuff, I'm like, I don't have an excuse anymore, so let's just do it.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Okay, well, let's start it with your if anyone wants to know your history and typology, I guess we can go over it really quick. You've got a short history and then a long history after you got in, I guess.
Yeah, it was
before you got typed. It was short.
Yeah, coincidentally with like a lot of things in my life, I kind of get introduced to like the shitty public version that everyone knows, and then I'm like, wait, there's something here, and then just accidentally I find like the cool, real, awesome version. So so of course that exists within the context of whatever it is, but that's, as far as MBTI is concerned, OP is definitely that. Now, if you think otherwise, sorry, but it was like a few weeks I spent at MBTI, and then I just accidentally got suggested a video from the Dave Powers YouTube channel, and then I joined basically like, I don't remember when they started, but I got in like April. Did they start like on January or something?
We're really messing around the feminine sensor here. I have no idea.
Okay.
We're just like playing around with this thing.
Yeah, I just remember I joined, and there was like at most 1 month of like prior recordings for like the classes and Q&As. I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually like, I thought with the like the complete professionalism and Dave's like amazing blast and how like simplified everything was and coherent, really, that's the main thing that pulled me in. I thought they'd been doing this for a long time. Behind the scenes they were, but like in terms of like actually being a public entity very short time. So I got in really early.
Cool, man. And then
like,
after that, you did a silly interview with Benjamin and Kendrick, and then you got into the NiNe show and got the ball rolling.
Yes. Yeah. It's been a blast the whole, well, no pun intended, but
then the huge thing, you were in the Blast Last collective, I guess, and doing videos every week as well. So you've been practicing that. Yeah. Lots of growth I've seen in you over the past 2 years.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm glad it comes through. That's the measurement.
All right. So let's talk about functions. That's what everyone's here for. So masculine NE, what is that?
It's complicated, said every NE ever. So so I can't really like explain like what it is without like also talking about SI, but like I can talk about that, how it happens, and then we can then go more into the savior and demon aspect. So like the way that like, so this is just information. The deciders haven't come in yet into this. Deciders are something more specific, and we can get into that more if you want, Benjamin. So it's like, as far as I'm concerned, and it seems like other masculine NEs are doing this, especially with TI, the way that we are articulating this. FI does this in a similar way, but they won't say it, they won't explain it the same way as the ENTPs will. So everything is basically a system, and so all the SI points only exist within the framework of how everything is connecting. So framework, kind of, don't get stuck on that word because that's kind of a TI word. I mean it specifically as just the way everything is interacting. So you have all of the constituent elements of a system, and then that's the SI as far as we're concerned. And then the way that that's interacting is the NE, and then that happens at most levels of analysis, and then any kind of TI tends to think of that more in that way as well.
Yeah. So I just had an SI lady on the channel. She has her own YouTube channel. She was talking about how SI is the most basic structure of whatever the observations are going on. It's like a very basic, what's it called? Like skeleton structure, and NE is responsible for filling everything else.
Yeah. That's the same thing. Yeah. Right.
So then how does the masculine come into play for the NE? How do you see a difference between feminine NE? Because I guess Jono is also masculine NE, isn't he?
No, he's masculine SI.
That's right. So you should have seen the difference with him a little bit.
Yeah. They were, because the NiNe Show boys, Jonathan, Odom, Leon, they're all masculine sensory. They saw the modalities really clearly, whereas I couldn't see the modalities until they pointed it out to me. Like, oh, you're not audio. Oh, you're definitely not kinesthetic. You're not doing the things that we are, because you're just not being bothered the same way about these things. You can't remember these things.
Right. It's all demon for them. Yeah, it's demon masculine sensory.
So they really throw a tantrum about that type of stuff. Whereas I'm just I'm like deaf. I can't even hear that. But I didn't notice the modalities as much. I was more fixed on like the functions themselves. So like comparing that to like my masculine NE to a feminine NE, it's like one of the major ways that it's different is that the way the information is conceived of. So with the masculine SI, it's almost like what's your starting point, almost like irrespective of the savior, because like it's what information you're like actually you can stand on. So with the masculine SI, it's like they start with whatever level of analysis they're looking at. They start with the constituent elements, and then from there they see how it connects. Now, obviously, you kind of have an intimation of how things work because you're doing everything.
I'm wondering if it's the opposite. I'm wondering if so they see first how things connect, but then if people argue with how they connect, they'll fight on the constituting elements. Like they'll fight on the sensory.
Yeah. So like perfect example is is like Ben Shapiro. Like he
Okay.
doesn't argue. Like if you compare Ben Shapiro to Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro argues the statistics and
Right.
stuff. And it's like, well, Jordan Peterson, like sometimes he does argue the statistics, right? But like he doesn't do that unless you're just patently false. Like he doesn't resort to that. And sometimes he's wrong with that, but you don't I'm not going to resort to fighting on the sensory unless I'm absolutely sure that it happens, because I know that it has to be that way because of all of the masculine any that it fits inside.
Yeah.
And then also because even with that, I don't feel secure about that, because my conception, even if it's nested within the any framework, it still feels like that could disappear at any moment unless I'm
I feel like what you're getting at is any is whatever any is pointing at some sensory detail, and you're pretty confident that that sensory detail is correct, but you have no idea. You don't know it for sure, but it's just what the any is pointing at, and that's where the sensory will come out. So it'll be more like a guess on the sensory, but like an educated guess.
Not so like that. That's like kind of it. So like
Okay.
So like if
it's good FE there, by the way.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
Thank you.
Just tell me I'm wrong, dude.
But like legitimately, that is
okay.
like that's part of it. But it's
okay.
It's more like if what we're like, that's like, so like from the perspective that like SI is what we're like the savior NEs are trying to go after to like, because that is the missing information. It's not going to be. It's not a guess. Like it'll feel like I will, like, let's say I've narrowed it down. I've done all of the work, and I've come like, okay, this data explains this variance, right? I'm only going to express it as like with a lack of confidence if I don't have, like, I can't just stand on the data, because the way that some people conceive of the data.
The data could be interpreted in a million different ways, right?
Right. So the masculine any, it needs that correct, solid interpretive frame first. Otherwise, it's just, there's nothing, you can't do anything.
Right. Okay, so I just noticed so far we haven't brought any examples. We're talking out in the air. We're not like, we could be completely full of BS here and just making stuff up, because there's no actual anything that we're talking about. We can't point at something.
Yeah, that's
just like talking about mechanics and of metaphysics.
Yeah. That is how like I came from that perspective actually when I was articulating it, because I found like that's how I actually described it, and then I tried explaining it to some other people that didn't really go too well with them. So like you would understand it, but yeah, it just doesn't work. So like for some examples, let's use some examples. I was explaining it to a TISI, and she like, so I'm stealing her example. She she used the example of an ecosystem when I was giving her the pure NESI example, or explanation, not example. So the ecosystem, right there, there's the constituent elements, the abiotic and biotic factors. So there's like the sunlight, there's the dirt, there's all the animals, and they're all interacting. So any over SI, so savior any, not really concerned about the animals, the sunlight, any of those individual things. It's worried about how those things are interacting. And then masculine any, what it's going to do is that the sensory only exists to the masculinity insofar as how it's interacting.
Oh, I see. Then how the missing information comes into play then.
Yeah.
Because like, that's right. Anything that's not interacting within that framework is as if it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it is.
Yeah. And then that confuses the masculine sensory, even masculine SE to an extent, but masculine SI really, especially if it's feminine any savior, they really understand what's going on, but their conception of the information is inherently different. So they're going to be like, no, that's what about this information? Then they're going to fight like Ben Shapiro about the statistics if that masculine NE is incorrect as far as the masculine SI is concerned.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of gymnastics with your words as well.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's not very clear. Yeah.
It's not very clear. I hope
Yeah.
I hope that ecosystem example.
Yeah.
Ignore everything else I said. Just focus on that audience.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So what about like your routine and like your morning wake up and stuff like that? Is that something you're concerned with? Is that something you're trying to work on?
Absolutely. It is. I've actually made tremendous progress with that. So I used to wake up at like 3 to 5 p.m. like every day. That was not good. Yeah. Now I had like reasons to do that, but like any reason, like I ended up prioritizing like health. Doesn't matter. Whatever reason you have to do that, unless it's like I need money to survive, you should not be sacrificing your health. And now that I've gotten at the point where like my health is like really good, I would never go back to doing that. Like even if I go to sleep a few hours, and I know I haven't talked about when I actually wake up, but even if I go to sleep like an hour or two after bedtime, which is pretty early, I feel bad. Not because like I wake up unrested, but just because it's like I'm slipping. I don't want to slip because I know the hell that's waiting for me if I go down that again. And it's just I'm just one step away as far as I'm concerned. So I don't want to let myself go down that slippery slope. But actually, talking about the specifics of when I wake up around 7 to 8. I used to wake up earlier because of trading. I have some time pressures to do that. But now, just because of the whole political environment with elections coming up, it's just not a good time to be trading right now. You don't, especially because it's 2020, you don't know what's going to happen really. So it's just best not to expose yourself to that type of risk. So I'm just using that as study time. So I do still wake up early just because it's good to wake up early and have the day to do stuff.
I had a few guesses on what's going to happen with the trading at the moment. Like, so a lot of things took a big hit that are going to come back. Like, for example, I don't know. This is way off topic.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Yeah, this is like airlines, for example. Airlines took a big hit, and they're going to go back eventually. So like that's a good place to start. Or any big business, something that's safe that you know isn't going to go bankrupt, is going to bounce back.
Yeah.
I think now is like the best time if you have money. It's the best time.
Like what they might be called colloquially. You keep me on this term. Recovery stocks. Those are the best investments. Anyone listening, like Benjamin was saying, to do that. And you want to, unless you have a lump sum, you just want to make some small periodic investments. Whatever.
I was telling everybody a while ago to invest in gas because gas was really, really low, and because like no one was driving, and I knew driving was going to come back, so I was like, invest in gas, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that's one of the best ways. Like if you're actually going to try and time the market, you figure out those fundamental factors that are going to happen. It's like, what are the basic things that are always going to be in demand?
We got an American here.
So
going, Sheila?
Yeah, guns and ammo. Right. Yeah, and then medical stocks for ones that are working on vaccines, trading the news for that. But that's a bit more. That gets a bit more into like,
okay. Stuff. All right, so let's get back to our topic here. I know. So let's get back to your SI routines and stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
I just never seen anyone so interested and fascinated talking about routines than any DOMs. Like any DOMs, you can just go all in on the routines and how they structure it and how they wake up, and it's like so fascinating to them. It's just it blows my mind.
Yeah. It's because it's like for us, it's like self-discipline is the true freedom. Like that's like what I realized, because it's like now I'm not like, because if I decide what because like you have to like, there are some rules you have to follow. There are some you have to as Jordan Peterson says, you have to pick up your cross. It's just you get to decide which one you want to do. You get to pick your sacrifice.
And even taking like responsibility for your health, like any DOM seem to be the biggest health nuts out there. Just because of the swings.
Right. It's because like a lot of it, like it does seem like a bit, big head, but like a lot of it was like I noticed that like if I got like too unhealthy or too sleep, I noticed, and I also knew from like doing the research that I was going to get cognitive declines, and I was already doing that because if you're going to sleep, like if you're like, especially for me, like this doesn't work, like being awake at night, like I am a night owl, but like I realized that like I was not being as productive. So like I couldn't focus as much. I couldn't do work in any sustained stretch for as long. It wasn't working. And when you have so many things that you want to do with your life, you can't just randomly do them. So it's like I either do this so I can do all of the things that I really want to do that matter, and I just in the short term sacrifice like not eating that donut like that's right in front of me that I won't even think about 5 minutes later, so that I can like actually like have more mental clarity to do all this stuff. It's like, which one am I going to pick? It's like, well, if I understand that that's what's going to happen, definitely I'm going to pick the more long-term benefit.
It's really interesting that you talked about mental clarity, because I've always seen like any users as having the messiest heads, like a clean environment, but a messy head.
Yeah. I still have, oh, I'm so terrible. I don't write anything down. It's all up here. But like, I've grown to appreciate the simplicity hanging around, especially Leon, lead NI, lead sleep, NIFI. There's a lot to learn from that for someone like me. And it's like just appreciating not only your actions being extremely focused, but like you and like your thoughts, and like you're only thinking and acting like you only exist in this domain right now. It's like there's a lot of utility to that, and a lot of the associated anxiety of what's going to happen there, it goes away because now you're prioritizing what you actually need to worry about, what takes up your bandwidth, and it's just like you're free.
I always thought it's like, don't you find it hard to think if your head is too clean on the inside? Like, don't you need a messy mind in order to think properly?
Yes. And that's why I don't write anything down, because if I write it down, I forget about it.
Right.
I can't. It's like, and then if I write it down, I get like it's like sensory overload. Like if I write it down now, it becomes SI. And then if I write too many things down, I just become overwhelmed. Whereas if it's in my head, then I don't have to do as much work to know where everything fits. Now, unless it's like a super big thing that I actually have to sit down, like the next like 2 years of my life, it's like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and do that. But like anything less than that, I'm not writing that down. I can't.
I'm wondering also how like SI for you is really anti-SE. Like SI, like environment that
I have a lead SE sister. She's basically SF me. So that Mexican FI is such a bitch. But there's her room, like she has dirty clothes. I don't know how long they've been there. But she sleeps with clothes on her bed. And it's like, I don't even have as many clothes that I wear normally as she does on her bed. Like that she doesn't even wear. It's like, why? Like it doesn't occur to me to have a lot of stuff to begin with, which makes actually organizing a lot simpler because there's less you have to worry about.
But like, do you identify with that? Like a messy room will ruin you? Like if too much stuff ruins you? Too much chaos in the sensory?
Yes, it does. Because it's like, if I'm especially like it didn't before when I didn't give a shit about SI. But now that I actually give a shit about SI and I'm actually making progress, I'm actually building things, because my mom is also FESE. She is so like, she's FESE sleep last. She thinks I'm Savior SI because of just like how much I'm actually doing. And she's always thought that just because she's associated TI with SI a lot because I'm Savior Sleep. But she legitimately thinks I'm Savior SI because I also get mad at her for not respecting my time and the things that I do in my order. And it's like, hey, don't come into my room and like open my broken blinds because that just makes it hard to do that. And I'm not getting mad at you, just don't do that. It's like, don't even enter my room so you don't give yourself the opportunity to accidentally mess up something that is designed to be a specific way. So
I guess
the
also like
NiNe comes and
I guess
interrupts
also like
that.
your process in getting things done.
Yeah,
It sort of helps you think about it less the more you have it down, and that
yeah,
way your mind is more free to wonder. Like if
mhm,
you've optimized, like this is something I've heard before. If you've optimized your day, you figured out how to work, then you don't need to think about it anymore. You don't need to give
yeah,
attention to the sensory
yeah,
because that's what's draining you. It's
yeah.
like how much attention do you need to give to wake up, to sleep,
Right.
to do
Yeah,
all
yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff.
right.
It's just a huge
Yeah.
burden. You don't want to think about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. I like, yeah, exactly. I do that. My entire schedule is like that, but I have maybe the best example is with my clothes because I work out. So I have like so many white shirts from other stuff that I did. So I when I go work out, I just basically I only wear a green shirt for this. Or if I don't have enough clean clothes because I forgot to do laundry. I'm still working on that. I got the day figured out. The week is the next step. Anything that I'm not doing every single day, I kind of just forget about. So I'm trying to work on stuff that I'm not doing every single day. But when I work out, I wear white shirts. So I have white shirt every day. I wear like I only wear white shirts and I go through 2 pairs a day. And then I have workout shorts and I have
You just really screwed with the sensory of my head. You go through 2 pairs of shirts a day. What's a pair of shirts?
oh, sorry. I'm thinking pairs of shirts, like pairs of socks, like pairs of
All right.
shorts, because like everything is referred to like with socks, like pairs make sense, right? But then some people like at least where I am, it's referred to as a pair of shorts or just shorts, but like shorts is like inherently plural. So like because of the 2 holes, so it's like I immediately just transferred that to like the 2 holes of the shirt to a pair of shirts. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but
No,
yeah.
no, it's all good. I caught
Two
you. It's all
shirts,
right.
not 2 pairs of shirts. Yeah, 4 shirts. Holy shit. I go through 2 shirts a day, and then
Yeah, yeah.
I have it segmented where I also have white shorts, and then I have colored shorts that I go out and I wear because I don't want to be completely unpresentable if I'm going out, just in case for some reason somehow like I've learned to appreciate being presentable, whereas I used to not because I've gotten my ass beat one too many times for not being presentable and missing an opportunity. So I have colored shorts that I wear on workouts, and then I have white shorts that I wear at home. And so I just cycle between those, and then I shower 3 times a day, and everything is like specific. And that
Yeah.
is like, it's so nice. It's like a flow. I just enter a flow, and
What's
everything's
really
worked out.
interesting too is like when I get you to talk about this stuff, it seems even savior state when you're talking about the sensory because you're
Yeah,
excited. You love it.
I'm so happy I finally got it down.
Right.
It's like because it was such a pain in my ass. Like I didn't even realize like part of the reason why I hated school so much was that I had to do all this SI stuff for to as an end, as the means to an end that I didn't want to do. But now that I have an end that I'm actually working towards and for, it's like this is like the only way to get there, and it's like
Yeah.
so. It's like I don't. It's like I never thought that it would be this easy, like
Yeah.
that my life would be this frictionless, but like it is, and it's like holy crap.
But like you start like do you start to realize that the more SI you do, the more freeing it is and the better you end up
Yeah, yeah,
everywhere. And like that's
mhm,
why you're
yeah,
so gung ho on it now. Yeah.
right. Because like with my weight, right? Like I was doing 1 meal a day for like about a year, and it was working pretty well. But like then you start to hit a point, like we were talking in the DMs, like you start to plateau. Excuse me, because like some of it's just like metabolism. I wasn't doing it precisely correct, so maybe my metabolism slowed down. I don't think so, but maybe that's part of what it is. Maybe it's I wasn't because I wasn't monitoring enough of what I was eating, that just not eating a lot could not compensate past a certain point of just eating shit. So like now I count macros, and now I have like meal plans, and like
Mhm.
I eat these things, and I know how to cook them, and I know how long it takes me, and I know I need to set this and then go take a shower and come back after my run. It's like it's immaculate.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if you're paying attention as well to like the very small nuances and the very small changes you can make and how big an effect they have. Like that's something you're paying attention to or no? You're
yeah,
more onto the macro stuff.
yeah, it's like well, I'm like I work my way down. Like I'm not worrying about like anything that's not like something that I would do every day. I'm working because I'm like I've gotten the day pretty down, like down like pretty well. And now my next step is going from same stuff every day to same stuff every period longer than a day. Because if it doesn't happen every day, my brain forgets about it. So I'm trying to find some way for to internalize that the same way I have my daily routine.
Like a weekly routine, like
Yeah,
every
like
Monday,
like
every
a weekly or
Tuesday,
monthly or quarterly. And I
monthly.
thought about things that I would do. Like I already have like I know stuff I would do, but I haven't figured out how to like actually get myself to remember to do those at the appropriate times to not screw myself over. So I'm working my way up from the basics, and then like more like task specific things, right? Like when I come home from a run, right? Like if I come home from a run, then I drink my water, and then I pull out like the meat that I need so that it unfreezes, and then I go out into a shower. That's a lot better than coming down from the shower and then pulling the meat out so that because then I don't have to wait longer.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's really crazy because
yeah.
like I would go through the same thing. I would probably end up doing the same thing as you, but I would figure it out in the moment.
Right. Yeah.
I would like, and if I screwed it up, I'd be like, all right, whatever. I screwed
See,
it up.
that's the thing. That's what most people don't realize. And I know you do that. So I'm not saying like you didn't realize it, but like,
No, I know that's the
that's
SE.
exactly like, it's like people are going to end up at the right thing. It's just how you got there. So
Right.
like people need to like not like, I think like people make it too complicated and they make these things too nebulous because they start dealing with too many variables. It's like, no, it's very simple actually. It's just how are you
I get
about
that because it's really easy to sometimes overlook stuff in the
right.
SE.
Yeah.
Like you're responsible to the moment. I will maybe take out whatever I want to have thought out. I might already think about that. Okay, I'll take this out early and I'll do this and I'll do this, but I'll just do it in the moment. I won't pre-plan what I'm going to end up doing.
And then even the way that we're thinking about the process is also different. Like the way that we like internalized it.
Okay.
So like, because like the way that I do it, it's not like, it's very SINE where it's like, okay, so here's all the things I need to do. And what is the best way of what's the best way of interacting it? And if it's along a timeline, then it's the order. So, and then in this case, what's the best order of doing it in a way that achieves the best result? Where like, I'm not sure exactly how NISE does it. I would think for you, it's more fluid also because you're a double observer.
Well, it's in the moment. Doing the sensory stuff, I'm just doing it in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not doing what you're doing. I'm not thinking about the order of things beforehand. It's not what I do. Yeah.
So it's like you have like the idea of like,
I don't even have the idea. I have like, okay, what do I have to do now? I've got to shower. I've got to eat. I got to do this. All right. What am I doing first? All right. Take out the meat. Done. Shower now. This, it's like figuring it out in the moment and just going.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's no pre-planning of it.
Okay. That's
and
crazy.
If I screw up, I'll remember last time. Okay, last time I screwed up. This time I'll do like this. But like I'll figure it out every time over and over again in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no patience to make this like optimal SI that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not my cognition.
Observing too. That's what was really like I try to emulate is just like to me it feels like the double observers are just like doing like the equivalent of like blast playing with the observations. Like they just because it's not a big deal to you. You're more like you're telling yourself it's more okay to mess up there so that so that you can not get in your own way of learning it. Whereas like for me, it's like it's such a big deal if I mess up the SI that like I obsess over it.
I want to ask you something because this is something that I'm really wondering about for double deciders. Do you see people like do bad actions, act improperly? Like, yeah. Is that something that sort of annoys you because you do it so easily? Like you know how to act? Yeah.
I mean, like it depends. Obviously, it depends. Where it's like, for example,
they don't take you into consideration, or they don't take other people into consideration, or they, do you get that?
Yeah. No. It sucks. I try not to like dwell on it. So I'll give you an example. And this is personal. So like, yeah. So like, also think about like how you would react. Cause like, I would like to know, I'm actually curious. So like, so like recently I was talking with a friend, and this friend, he has a tendency to do this, and what he does is in like, so like he has FE demon, and when he is like, this is part of FE demon, just in his own way of manifesting it. So like he was like complimenting one of my friends, right? One of our mutual friends, like we're in a group chat, and the way that he brought him up and like celebrated him for doing something, it like he put me down to do that, and I'm like, you didn't have to do that. Okay, I mean, I didn't say anything because it's not that big of a deal. Also, not the best time to do that. And
But I mean, why not put you down? It's fun.
I mean, like it wasn't like contextually it was not appropriate. We're like, if we're all having banter and we're all like,
yeah.
You know, like taking the piss on each other, then it's, I got that phrase from a British person. Amazing phrase. But like, if we're not like, if that's like not like the context, then it's okay. But like, if you're gonna randomly do it, then it's like, that's weird. Whereas like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna take it personally, because like I know that's just what you do, and I'm gonna talk to you like later, be like, hey, you don't have to do that, you know, like
So
it's not weird. But then also it's like, if it doesn't happen often enough for me to like take it personally, because if it happened like every like 3 days, I'd be like, okay, this is probably personal. Whereas like if it just happens like I can't even remember the last time it happened, I just remember that it did happen, and it happens with like everyone, then it's like, okay, so it's just the thought process that's incorrect, generally speaking, not like,
do you feel like, exactly, like do you feel like they're making bad decisions?
Yeah, it is a bad decision. It's just yes.
That's exactly it, right? Yeah, because like, okay, so this is, I'm getting in personal conflicts as well on this, and I realize I'm making bad decisions. Like that's what I'm doing, and because I'm seeing that the other person is making bad observations. They're not bad interpretations, I call it. Like that's what it feels like to me. You're misinterpreting things all the time, constantly misinterpreting, and they're constantly blaming me for making bad decisions. It's my actions. I'm doing bad actions.
Right. Like, so because like for you, it'd be like obviously double observe. So if you're double observing, then the right action should be obvious. And then like for me, it's like observations are hard, so it's okay within reason if you make the wrong decision because you had the wrong information, and then vice versa.
Right. Yeah. So like the reason for the bad decision with an observer is more like, okay, I didn't have all the information. That's why I made a bad decision. Like you had a bad interpretation of what was going on.
Yeah. And then sorry, I don't want to mean to interrupt you, but
go for it.
It's really hard, like because some people some people do need to be viewed in the single decider frame as like fixed, like bad person instead of bad action. And it's like, that's really hard for me to accept, and especially if I have a personal thing with someone, because it's like I keep trying to give them the opportunity to change that, but it's like they won't, and it's like, oh shit, I don't.
Well, like I think it's because I'm making my decisions on my TI, and I should sometimes be making decisions on FE,
right?
And I'm not, and like that's where the bad decision comes in. It's not like I decided badly for my TI, but I decided badly in general.
Not doing the FE in that time when you should have. Yeah. No, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
okay.
Yeah, because that's also a very TI way of seeing it. I do like, that's also like how that's also like why I got on the SI train, was like, it's wrong because it's wrong not to do it because it's less productive. So it's just like everything.
Also, it's like each person is trying to get the other person to come to their side. It's like, okay, I'm trying to say, okay, if you had a good perception, you would see that I made the right decision. And they're saying, no, if you made the right decision, then I would have a good perception, or something like this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
my perception is of your bad decision. Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
each person is right and each person is wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. It's strange. But it's weird how it also kind of work. Like it's also kind of weird. Like if you just put 5% effort into your demons, things start almost immediately resolving themselves. It's like, oh wow, it's almost like beginner's luck, and then it's like you keep going, and then you hit like the first plateau, and then you're stuck there for a little bit, and then you figure something out, and then you start going really fast again until the next one.
So this is actually a good question, and I'm not sure that there's a definitive answer. Do double deciders tend to give people more chancellors than deciders in general? Single deciders, I guess.
See, that's strange because then my mind immediately goes to the EJs.
Right.
So it's like, because my mom lead FE, it's like she's given, like my dad has cheated on her like how many times? Like he's like legit bad with money, like so bad, like tens of like almost hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card debt like over time, and it's like how many like after.
I feel like I give tons of chances too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, I think it just depends. Like if we don't specify which type of transgression was made, and it's just all possible transgressions over all possible types, which one gives more chances, double deciders or single deciders? I would think the EJs give more chances, and that the IPs would give less.
Well, I feel like I give a ton of chances to you. Yeah.
Right. No, but like you're obviously not like, you're not
I'm
like
biased. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. You're because you don't have your head up your own ass, right? Whereas like imagine like if you didn't know about like your type, like even without the frame of OP, like you didn't know that your demons were fucking you over, or that these specific actions or thought processes were causing a lot of problems in your life.
Yeah.
Then you would be more gung-ho about it.
I can see right away your tendency to guess here, where I'm like, let's just be a little bit more careful. It's like, we guessing. Let's guess. Yeah. Doesn't matter if we're right or wrong. We'll just give the people an answer. That's all they need.
Well, I do legitimately think that, and I'm like, I would love to be wrong, because that means that I can be corrected and then make the next guess better. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's my stamp of approval. I would say EJs do it, and then like the average EJ would give the most, and then because the double decider is like, let's say it's personal, right? Because I know, Sheila, you're an IP, so it's probably more of a decider thing for you. So I like the chances. It's like when I give people more chances than I really should, it's because they're really close to me, and I know that I'm compensating for that by not giving strangers enough chances that they should. So I try to micro correct that. Whereas like it seems like the deciders on average, the ones that are fucked in the ass, they are the IPs not enough overall, and then EJs too many overall. And then so like with the deciders, because it's like I can stand up for myself and also see where you're coming from. So it's like I'll concede in this situation over time, but if you don't eventually start, improving or come back to me, or something doesn't change, then I can then stand up for myself and be like, sorry, it's just not going to work. And then also end it amicably.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the chat here. If there's people with IJ, people with IP, it's all over the place. It does that's why I think it's a good question. I've heard it before, and I've seen that it really depends on the person as well. Like,
that's why it's like some things shouldn't be looked at through type, because type is just like the tools of your tools of thought. But it's like they interact so much with things with other basic programs that we have going on that aren't accounted for within OP, and then our upbringing stuff. It's like beyond a certain point, it becomes a hindrance actually to view things through OP. So like this is something that I wouldn't. So, but if I had to guess, that's it.
Yeah. So let's get back to NE. What is your NE wanting to do all day? Like, what is it doing? Is it speculating? Is it looking for possibilities? Is it looking for uncertainty? Are you trying to figure out what the uncertainties in every situation is? Like before you make a decision, do you want to just blow up the whole thing and see all of the options before you can actually narrow down?
Right. I can explain it as more of a process, and then how it manifests itself is situational. So it's that I have the SI on what is, like, let's say I'm studying something, right? So I have like, let's say, the fundamentals, right? And then I'm trying to figure something out. So I have all of these pieces of information. So I'm looking at, okay, I'm getting an intimation that these things should interact in some specific way, and here's some valid ways that these could interact, and if those things are positioned to interact with each other in this way, in this configuration, then that leaves this space open for something that should kind of be in that area to fill in that in this gap in the interaction. And so then I go there.
I can tell you're talking about something real.
Yeah,
that's all I can tell. I have no idea what it is.
I feel the same way when SI, NE, or even FIT. I kind of get that almost.
Yeah.
But SI, NE, I'm just lost. I'm so lost. So like, I'll try and even give a more concrete example. So like with my trading, there are like, it's all about the narrative behind why the price does certain things, right? So without getting too technical,
okay, so like, yeah, so you've got to make some kind of judgment call. You want to invest somewhere. So before you're able to actually invest, your NE has to do something before you invest, before you narrow down. So what is that thing that it does? It just looks at all the options. If I invest here and it goes bad, and then if I invest here and it goes bad, or what's it doing?
It's looking at the context of like, where is this? So let's say, where is this instrument? Like, how is this instrument behaving within, let's say, the general economy right now, or its market, right? So let's say recovery stocks, right? So like Carnival Cruise, right? Let's say we want to make that play, or an airline, right? So then I would look at where it's been, like, so its data,
where it was before the collapse, the economic collapse,
right? And so
where it is now during the economic collapse.
There are fundamental, like you could look at PE ratios. There are lots of technical stuff. Listening that you could look at, but like basically, let's just keep it simple, like price and current market environment. So price drops, but then we know that in the future there will be a higher demand than there is right now, which is why the price is lower. So then you could buy and then sell. So the NE, right, it knows, it's keeping track of those contextual information, and then we go in to a deeper level. Then what it does is it ties the relevant, more fundamental information together, and then that's all being done. That's all. The impetus for that is TI, and then the decision is concluded, buy or sell.
I can tell you're talking about something. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
So with my trading, so I don't mostly trade that way. I can trade that way. But trading off of fundamental factors really bores me. It's a bit too sensory for me. It does work, but I'm more of a technical trader, and therefore I trade more short-term volatility, because it's basically because the market is inefficient in the short term, which is the whole reason why you could profit over the difference in price overall. But that's besides the point. So like there are specific levels about why, where the price.
I just want to interject really quick. You can continue, but just answering this question, I see you okay, well, there's this aspect here, and then there's this aspect here. It's like you have to explain all of the different facets that are interplaying before you can answer the actual question.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Because the question itself is now the question itself is the system, and so then there are the constituent elements, which are the parts of the paragraphs of my answer, right?
Right.
So then I want to show how all of that ties together for the closing, summary piece. if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you want to establish all of these interplaying components
Right.
to the way your answer goes, because your answer is not just a simple yes or no or it's green. Your
Right.
answer is there's a system.
Yes.
This is the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
your answer. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then of course the specifics. So for people needing an example, I'm looking like, so when I make a trade, I'm looking at why the market, what the market has done, which has left specific key levels in place, not support and resistance. That does not work. I've tried, it doesn't work. So it's the narrative behind why the market has moved and what has left in what elements it has left in the past that it's going to call back upon to then do a certain thing given the current environment. So like one of the things price does in the short term is that like it's manipulated and it seeks liquidity. So it's like, okay, there are some liquidity is just money, right? That's all it is. So basically big people who have enough money to move the price of an asset, they're basically stealing the traders who don't know this. They're stealing their money. So that's what liquidity is. So it's like, so there's a liquidity pool because trader psychology has been established. So there's a liquidity pool right here. And then price is like right here. And then, so it should, from a key level, bounce and go up there and take that. And then from there, then we can reevaluate. Because once it takes that liquidity, then we have to see what it wants to do. Does it want to keep going up? Does it want to go down, retrace something? That has to be determined because that is a different component than what that current trade up to that liquidity pool was framed on.
So like did that, I can't even figure out if that actually answered the question or not. I don't even remember what the question was anymore. But like that's any, right?
Yeah. It's so like, I understand why like it's hard for people who don't have it to get it, because like it starts simple. It's like, okay, so this is the process. Okay, I kind of get that. And then you go into an example, and then instead of being like there, it's like you can't even see it anymore. It's like, wait. So that, because it's like it increases in complexity so fast, just because now there's so much information, actual sensory, that you have to actually understand before the example itself makes sense. So it just ends up being a long process.
Right.
But it's like, if you grasp, which you do, Benjamin, that whole process of NESI, that is really what it is. And then if you keep that in mind and you see any people doing it, it's like, oh, I kind of saw that, and now I got a little bit more explained in that when I saw you do that.
Yeah, because like for me, answering a question is like narrowing down onto a point, and for you, answering a question is forget the question. Let's just expound on the question.
Right. It's like explain the variance of the different set of the array of possible answers.
Okay, yeah. So it's like you're not giving an actual answer, you're giving an array of answers.
I'm telling you that
how to get your own answer.
The context, how to figure out the answer yourself.
Right. All right, yeah. Hard to wrap your head around when you're not especially any polar. Cool, man. Well, we didn't get into many of your other functions, but we're running out of time. Do you have something to promote or something to say about your type that maybe other people can benefit from?
Yeah, one thing that's been on my mind actually recently, people think FE, people like think of FE as like the stereotypical lead feminine FE type, where it's like, don't have an identity, appease the tribe emotionally. It's like, that's not what FE is. That's part of it when it's appropriate. It's like sometimes the right thing is to, like Gary Vee, say fuck you and like give you a massive wedgie and throw you across the room. Like, you know, it depends. And that's what FE is. It's figuring out the correct emotional response for you to do to elicit the correct emotional response from them within the context of the social interaction. So
Yeah.
that's FE. It's not just bend over backwards for people. It is do the right thing at the right time, and that applies, and more specifically to the emotional domain with FE.
Yeah. I wonder if SE comes off to you similar to the way that NE comes off to someone on my axis. It's like if I give you a whole bunch of points before I narrow down on those points and say what those points are pointing to, is that kind of the antithesis of the way you think? Like you don't want.
So like I think so, and so I'm trying to keep in mind that like the way that you're explaining that, because like the way that the words that you use to explain that, I don't relate to, but the idea behind it, I think I'm pretty sure, yes, because like for me, it's more like, because when I talk to SE people, they're either doing one of two things. They're either asking me about, they're either saying, what about this? In a way that is saying, how do you account for the variance in this
Right.
sense?
That's right. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. Because like they want your intuition to account for all the sensory.
Right. Yes. So that's,
Yeah.
so they're either doing that type of question, or they're doing the stupid type of SE question, which is like, give me so much information that I then therefore don't know how to process it, just because I
Right.
want more information. So that like that would be very similar to the NE, just this different in terms of feeling, but the main idea, yes, I do think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So like, did you feel like you're narrowing down on a concept really quickly then, and you're not trying to incorporate too much sensory, you're just trying to incorporate a little bit of sensory into this idea? Or do you feel like it's not even that? Yeah.
When
guess it's not even that.
when I have an idea, or I'm like explaining something.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm asking a clarifying question. So do you mean that, is that what I'm doing when I'm thinking, or when I'm trying to answer a question?
Yeah. So it's like, I want to give a simple example that is obvious, and then obviously you would do the NI on this because it's so simple. But I mean, we can just sort of extrapolate and pretend like, yeah, pretend like you're not. So it's like, okay, when you cut grass, it grows back. When you cut weeds, they grow back. And so that must mean that there's something in plants that lets them grow back when you just cut the top of them, like this kind of grass type of thing, this kind of plant, right? So like that's like the NI conclusion on these two SE instances.
Right.
How would you differentiate? And I know like you would probably do the same thing, but how would you differentiate the NE of that?
Right. So then what I do is I would have a hypothesis, right? Which is like, there's something in grass and or weeds that lets them do roughly the same thing, right? And then I would go to like a different plant, and then I'd cut its head off, and then I'd notice, shit, that did not grow back. Okay, damn it, I decapitated that plant. But then it's like, it depends on how much information you know. Like, do you have like a rough idea about DNA? Do you have a rough idea about plant types? Let's assume we don't know anything about that, right? How would I go about figuring out the regrowing mechanism? So what I would do then is like, because like you can cut off like of some plants. I'm not like a botanist or anything, so I don't know. But I would assume in some plants you can cut things off, like some parts off, and then regrow, and then the plant will regrow. Whereas as far as what I was concerned, as far as I would have thought before I had done that, I would have thought that you would cut that a different part off and it would have regrown, but it was actually this other thing. So then what I would conclude is that the way that it looks is different, but anatomically speaking, those two things, from this type of flower to like, or plant, I'm thinking of flowers, so I just said flower, but other plants, and then a blade of grass, that or a weed, that those anatomically speaking are actually the same thing. So then a similar process is going on there.
So like, I'm trying to process this because like, it just feels way more simple the way I talked about it.
It is.
And then
It is.
The way you talked about it, I don't get what you were doing. What was all that?
Because I'm trying to, it's like wow, this is okay. It's like what I'm trying to do is like, it's like what we're both trying to do is like, we want to know why it did the thing, right?
Right.
We want to know the answer. Whereas like for me, it's like everything I do is recursively placed within the frame of this fits within something larger. This fits within something larger. And that thing that's larger that it fits within something larger and interacts with other things at the same level. So it's like everything, every action I take, every decision I make, every conception of information is made on that premise. It's like that's an axiom of my thought. Like I've always thought that way. I only realized it once I realized, okay, that's what any SI does. So the whole reason why I'm doing that is to appease that God in my head that all any people have of this is the framework of this is how you conceive of information, and that you have to do it this way so that then you can make more any connections.
Yeah. It's almost like you don't want to change the intuition. You want to just leave it as it is. Like you don't want to make up intuition. I don't know.
That's yeah, right. Because the whole point of NE is to see the interactions between SI. So it is more, it's not as contrived. Now that's like a sort of negative connotation, the worst way of characterizing NI. But in some instances, and I'm sure you've seen this, especially with like lead NI, like consume last people, it is contrived a little bit. Whereas even the most nutcase NEs, it's like, I can kind of, it's like, I can see why you would think that, but why would you think that? Like, regardless, like, even if the line of logic that got you there is everyone can agree on it. It's like, surely you should have just known, like, that wasn't the valid one, which is why sort of NE has the more mad scientist stereotype.
It's like you don't want to throw any of those options in the trash, even though because they might be valid in another instance.
Options like of how things interact.
Because like you were bringing up a lot. Okay, when you were answering this question, you were bringing up a lot of possibilities. Like, okay, it could be the DNA, it could be the anatomics, it could be this. All of these things you were breaking up to explain it. It's like I don't want one explanation. I want many explanations, and all of these explanations could be, and we'll just leave them like that. I don't want to narrow down.
Okay. So it's like we have the main the main phenomenon that we're observing, right? And then from there, it goes down to like this level. If I had a piece of pen, I could. So we have like the main. This pen is not ink. Are you kidding me? I need to get rid of that. So you have the main observation, right? Like right here. I just knocked over my thing. So you have the main observation, right? Right there. And then, so like that is the phenomenon, right? It's just a circle for now. And so then
it's just a circle.
Down, it's just a circle, right? So that is stand in for the phenomenon. And so then you want to break it down, right? And so then you're breaking down, okay, so here's the constituent elements of that phenomenon, right? And then, I don't know if you can see that. I have a really light handwriting. Okay. And so then you're breaking those down into their constituent phenomenon as well. So it's like, so it's like, it kind of looks like a family tree.
Right.
Idea.
So you're going the opposite direction. NI wants to go upwards. You're just going downwards.
Right. And then doing it this way has the added benefit of changing the dimension of analysis. So like if we think like 3-dimensionally, this is just 2 dimensions right now, then I can go like that. And then that's a different perspective. And then I can go like that. And then that's a different perspective. So maybe that last bit didn't make too much sense. But it basically doing it that way gives you the option to pivot as well, which is one of the things.
Oh, okay. So like even if you're wrong, the answer is still there. Like you can't be wrong. Every possible answer is there, sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Right. So like you've answered the question right. You're sure of it. It's just you don't know what kind of right you are.
That was a beautiful way of putting it. Yeah, that is I've legitimately felt that way a lot of the times. So yeah.
That must be so okay. You enjoy it. Yeah. For me, that would be stressful. For you, it's like, yeah, of course, that's great.
It is like because of that, it's like it's really taxing. And so then that means that like for like someone like me, I'd have to have like a higher threshold of like of what I would perceive as like positive stimulation, mentally speaking. So like I only do things because I'm bored. That's like one of like 2 reasons why I do stuff. So like if it's
only do stuff because you're bored.
If it's not stimulating, I just won't do it. And then that was actually one of the big things with SI is like, why should I do it? It's not stimulating. It's like,
right.
No, you have to do it so that you can do the stimulating stuff. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah. It's a prerequisite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we're running out of time. I could talk to you for hours.
Yes.
So check out the NiNe show. That's like you guys are on hiatus. I don't know.
I still don't know how to do that. They play this joke on me, like they kind of tell me, but like they know I'm feminine sensory, so I can't. It's like
you're okay. You're good. Yeah, we're good.
NiNe show, NiNe gang. Let's get it.
There you go. Cool, man. So yeah, Sheila's right. I might need to take some blood pressure medication after this interview. But
oh my god, I'm sorry.
Awesome, man. No, thanks a lot for coming out and for explaining NE a little bit. We got a little bit stuck on the NESI axis, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one, everyone.
People are interested on that. Yeah, but thanks for having me on, Benjamin. This was a blast.
Yeah, it was. Literally, this one was a blast. We used too much this time, but yeah. Last time was not a blast.
Yeah.
It was a lot of play and
yeah.
Yeah. So check out the disaster in the description, or check out the NiNe show.
Yes. Yeah. Please do.
Cool, guys. Have a good one. Yeah. I'll put the link to the NiNe show too.